All right, we're going to call this The Wilderness is Coming. And put in parentheses, tabernacle class. The wilderness is coming. The wilderness is coming. Go to Judges chapter 5 and verse 11. Y'all see the beautiful decorations that the decor team put up around here. Let's give a round of applause for the decor team. Try and get us in the spirit. All praise to the Most High for that. So, y'all see these designs around here. You can take them, put them up in your house, just like you used to do for Wicked Satan Day. Go to Judges 5 and 11.
Judges chapter 5, verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers and the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of the villages in Israel.
Read it again from the top.
They that are delivered from the noise of archers and the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
Okay, so why? Give me a simple explanation of why would somebody rehearse? Why would you rehearse something, brothers? Let's see. Who got the thing? Officer Daniel. Microphone coming. Why would you rehearse?
You rehearse something to eventually get it perfect.
Okay. All right. I like that. Anybody else want to add to that? Officer Pagiel? Give it to Officer Pagiel. We read this all the time, but it got many levels to it. But go ahead.
Because we're going to have to perform it one day.
I like that one. I like that. And I would say that we rehearse because eventually somebody's coming to see you. You don't just rehearse just to say, hey, I know all the words of the play. I know all the scenes to the movie. I'm a great actor, but nobody's coming to see me. You don't do that. You rehearse because eventually somebody's coming to see you perform. So read 5 and 11 again.
Judges chapter 5, verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers and the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
What does righteous mean again, brothers? What does that mean? Just say it. Keep the commandments. So you got to rehearse because eventually somebody's coming to see you perform. Revelation chapter 21. Let's read 1 through 5.
Revelation chapter 21 and verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men.
The tabernacle of God is with man. Read.
And he will dwell with them.
He's going to do what?
And he will dwell with them.
That's why God told you way back in Judges, you better start rehearsing. Start rehearsing because I'm coming to see you perform. I'm going to be in the midst of you dwelling, and you're going to have to perform all the stuff that I told you to do. Read on.
And they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God.
Read on.
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
I need that no pain to come on, because last grill and chill day, my elbow went out, my knee went out, my legs were sore for 5, 6, 7 days. It might even still be sore if I move the wrong way, but I need that no more pain to come. Go ahead, read on.
For the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful.
These words are true and faithful, that what? God will dwell with them. And it's not talking about everybody. It's just popped in my head. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Let's show you who he's dwelling with. We ain't leaving no room for wicked Christianity to slip in there. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, and let's read verse 16 through 18.
2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16. And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, as God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
We just read that in Revelation. Go ahead.
Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
So we're not a separatist group. God is a separatist God from the jump. Read verse 18.
And will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty.
So where does real fathers dwell at? Do real fathers say, I got a bunch of kids and they live down the street and I go and see them every once in a while? Where do real fathers live at when they got sons and daughters? Where at, brothers? In the house. So back in Revelation, he said, I'm going to dwell with them. I will be with them. My tabernacle is with man, the man of Israel, the daughters of Israel, who he's going to live with. Now jump up to verse 10. Let's read verse 10.
2 Corinthians chapter 6 and
Revelation 21 and 10.
Excuse me.
Back in Revelation.
Revelation chapter 21 verse 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God.
Now I want to stop right there because we know it says holy Jerusalem, which we know is the kingdom to come, right? It's descending out of heaven. Go to Isaiah 60, because the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. That's what it says in the Lord's Prayer, right? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So let's go to that precept real quick. Isaiah chapter, what I got here, 60, and let's read verse 9 and 10 to show you what he's talking about really. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 9. Surely the isle shall wait for me, and the ship of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and unto the Holy One of Israel. But he hath glorified thee.
Because he hath glorified thee. Go ahead.
And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls.
What walls is it talking about they're going to build up, brothers? To what place? To the kingdom, right? To Jerusalem. It says the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Read on.
And their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I have had mercy on thee.
All right, going back to Revelation now, 21 verse 10. So when he says the holy Jerusalem descending out of heaven from God, remember, he's what let me see. Well, let's see. Revelation chapter 7. Let's go back to 7. I want to show you something. Revelation chapter 7, and let's read verse which no man, all nations, elders. What was it in 21? It might be 21. Overcameth. Let me check in 21. But fearful, say where is it? I was in the spirit on the Lord's day.
Revelations 1.
It says it somewhere else in there too. Yeah, we'll use that one. It's also at 4 and 1 too. That's what I was looking for. Okay, but let's read that one. Let's read 1 and 10.
Revelations chapter 1 and verse 10. I was in the spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega.
Okay, so what we reading here, remember, it says, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day. That ain't the one I want, though. It was he carried me away. That's Revelation 21, right? Yeah, that's what we just read. But going into on the spirit, that's the same thing with the rest of the prophets, right? He gave them what? Visions, things of that nature, right? He gave them visions to show what would be coming to pass. So when he's looking at the kingdom of heaven, it looks so beautiful as if it dropped down from heaven, but actually is going to be on the earth built up by the strangers. They're going to be put to work, right? So let's go back to Revelation 21, verse 10.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 10.
That's in the same damn verse. Go ahead.
And he carried me away in the spirit.
There we go. In the spirit. Go ahead.
To a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God.
So it's a vision he see. Read on.
having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high.
You got to speed up. We're reading down to verse 26.
And at 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And on the east 3 gates, and on the north 3 gates, and on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates.
That's 12. Go ahead.
And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
So there is no 13th gate, just to let you know, for other nations to come in. It's only 12 for the 12 tribes of Israel. Read on.
And he had talked with me and had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the walls thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length of the breadth, the length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof, and 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony,
Chalcedony.
the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, and 12th amethyst. In the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass.
That's how bright the gold was. That's how crystal clear and pure it was. That you looked into it, you seen your reflection. Go ahead.
And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
Their glory and their honor into it. Go ahead. We read that in Isaiah 60. Go ahead.
And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it.
Read verse 26 again.
And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it.
Okay, now go to Baruch chapter 3. Go to Baruch 3 and let's read 24. So everybody sees how beautiful the kingdom to come is. Right? Baruch chapter 3 and let's read 24, 25.
Baruch chapter 4 verse 24.
No, verse 23, right?
23.
No, Baruch 3, 24.
Excuse me. Baruch chapter 3.
Yep.
Verse 23.
24 and
24. O Israel, how great is the house of God.
Oh, great is the house of God. Read on.
And how large is the place of his possession. Great and have none end, high and unmeasurable.
So it says, how great is the house of God and how large is the place of his possession. Go to Isaiah 54. Let me show you something. Isaiah 54 and let's read 11 through 15.
Isaiah chapter 54 verse 11.
We still on the kingdom, right? We got a description of it in Revelation. Baruch told us how great and how large it is. Let's see what God says about it also. 54, 11 through 15.
Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 11. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors.
Thy stones with fair colors. Go ahead.
And lay thy foundations with sapphires. And I will make thy windows of gates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. And righteousness shall thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, and for it shall not come near thee.
Read.
Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake.
He's talking about those nations that will continue to try to fight once the kingdom's already established. It's going to be war. Even in the kingdom, it's going to be war. He gonna send 144,000 out every so often to fight the nations and destroy them. Because God is a man of what, brothers? War. He likes it. So he's gonna keep us fighting. The same way he did when we was in the kingdom at first. He said he left the nations round about us to teach us what, brothers? War. Same thing. Nothing new under the sun. It's just gonna be forever this time, this go around. Hey, go to I want to pull up, go to Google and pull up the images of let's see what sapphire stone. Let's see what that look like. Sapphire stone. Because it said back up in verse 11, it says, I will lay thy stones with fair colors and lay thy foundations with sapphires. Woo, hold on. How much that thing cost? $273,000. $1 million for that one. 69.35 carats. 100,000 sapphire. Yeah, just scroll through those pictures. Them things is nice. He said, I am going to lay thy foundations with sapphires. So the foundation of the house is going to be built out of sapphire stones. I like that. Okay. Go to the other one where it says agate stones. Let's go Agate. Agate, whatever you want to call it. Let's see what those look like. Okay. See all the beautiful colors of those, right? Just scroll down. Keep scrolling down. So what he said about those? Let's see. He said, I will make all thy windows of agates or agates, however you want to call it, and thy gates of carbuncle. Beautiful colors. Go to carbuncle stone. Let's see what those look like. Carbuncle stone. There we go. Scroll down. Let's see those. Carbuncle stones are red. Those is beautiful to behold. That's why the gates won't be shut, because all of those jewels that the nations that they got them robbed from us that belong to us, they're gonna be bringing those in constantly. All right. You know what pops in my head? And pull up stained glass. Also, Dan, you was cooking stained glass, because it says that I will make thy windows agates and thy gates of carbuncle and all thy borders of pleasant stones, the foundation. That's when I read that, this is what I picture in my mind. The windows, and it ain't glass that's painted on. These are literally stones, gems made up out of that stuff to look like that. Now, where do you find those type of glasses that look like that? Where you find them? Okay, find them in Christian churches. Or here's the other place you find it. Go to John. Go to the book of John, chapter 14, verse 2. It's how you know we ain't got no money. I'll tell you right. First thought came in your mouth was Christian church. Let me show you the main place you find those type of glasses. John 14 and 2.
John chapter 14, verse 2. In my Father's house are many mansions.
Are many what?
Are many mansions.
You find those glasses where? Read it again.
In my Father's house are many mansions.
See, we ain't even got no money to even think about those being on a mansion window. We ain't even think about that. That's what the windows are going to be made out of in the mansions that God's going to give us. Read it again. I want to hear that again. Verse 2.
John chapter 14 and verse 2. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you.
So Christ ain't no liar. He said where the kingdom to come is going to be many mansions. That's why Baruch said it is far and wide and large and innumerable of how big it is. We can't even fathom. There's things that we ain't even thought of in our captivity. He said, if it was not so, I would have not told you. Read the rest of it.
If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you.
I go to prepare a place for you. That kingdom to come is being prepared for you. Go to Isaiah 62. Let's go to Isaiah 62. And let's read 1 through 12 real quick.
Isaiah chapter 62, verse 1. For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory. And thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt also be crowned of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate. But thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah.
Yeah, Beulah.
For the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as a bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice over thee.
Read on.
I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence, and give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. The Lord hath sworn by his right hand, and by the arm of his strength, surely I will no more give thy corn to be meat for thy enemies, and the sons of the strangers shall not drink thy wine for which thou hast labored. But they that have gathered it shall eat it, and praise the Lord. And they have drunk, and they that have brought it together shall drink in the courts of my holiness. Go through the gates. Prepare ye the way of the people. Cast up the highway. Gather out the stones. Lift up a standard for the people.
Prepare ye a way for the people. Read verse 11.
Behold, the Lord hath proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say ye to the daughter of Zion, behold, thy salvation cometh. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord. And thou shalt be called, sought out, a city not forsaken.
Read on now. Read on.
Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? That this that is glorious in his apparel,
Turn his highs down back there. Go ahead.
traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat?
So this is Christ, right? Isaiah sees the second coming of Christ, and he went straight, check. He went straight to Edom, right? Read on.
I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger.
Can't hear him. He's muffled. He sound muffled now.
Check.
Turn the gain down. That's what it is. The gain's too high.
Isaiah. The book of Isaiah.
Volume up, gain down. Go ahead.
The book of Isaiah, chapter
you go.
63, verse 3. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeem is come. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I will tread down the people in my anger, and make them drunk in my fury. And I will bring down their strength to the earth. I will mention the loving kindness of the Lord, and the praises of the Lord, according to all that the Lord hath bestowed on us, and the great goodness toward the house of Israel.
So Christ is returning to destroy for the house of Israel, none else. Read on.
Which he hath bestowed on them according to his mercies, and according to the multitude of his loving kindness. For he said, surely they are my people, children that will not lie, so he was their Savior. In all their affliction he was afflicted, and the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and his pity he redeemed them, and he bare them and carried them all the days of old.
So now go back to Revelation 21. So all of that is to come. All that good kingdom, the carbuncles, the sapphire stones, the everlasting rest, the Lord defending us, and all of that. Revelation 21, and I want to read verse 27 now.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 27. And there shall in no wise enter into it.
Into it, meaning that kingdom to come. All those beautiful descriptions that we just read is the scriptures of how it's going to be. We have rest and be called a praise in the earth. But on the flip side, and there shall in no wise enter into it. Read on.
Anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
Now go to 1 Peter. So that's a little pretext of what is going to enter in. They that don't defile, right? 1 Peter chapter 4, let's read 17, 18.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17. For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God? And if the righteous scarcely shall be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear?
Now, a lot of people, we keep thinking this is to come and stuff, but it says the judgment must begin at the house of God. Has the judgment already started at the house of God? First off, who's the house of God, brothers? Who is it? Okay, nobody knows. Okay. Matthew chapter 15, what is it, verse 24? Read that.
Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24.
See what the house of God is. Read that.
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
The house of who?
Of Israel.
So the house of God is the house of Israel. Because in the house of God, when he dwells with man, who are the only people that are going to be in the house of God? Who is it, brothers? We just read that in Revelation 21. Can't nobody else come through the doors unless your name's on the gate. You got the gate set up, and they got each one of his sons' names on it, and you can't come through the gate into his house unless your name's written on one. The only people that are in the house of God are the house of Israel. So going back to 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. That's talking about with us. When did judgment start with us? Is it to come, or is it when we meet our maker? Now, when does the judgment? Okay, we get straight to it. I can see you looking at me like a deer in the headlight. All right. Anybody ever read Deuteronomy 28 in here before? By show of hands, raise your hand if you read Deuteronomy 28. Okay, that's the judgment of God, y'all. He didn't just do that because he wanted to play around with y'all and see what he can do in the end, see how powerful he was. No, he did that because you was rebellious. The judgment of God first started with us. Here's the proof of it. Go to 2 Maccabees 6. Your ancestors wrote about it. Heck, it happened even before Deuteronomy 28. That's just most recent for us. Let's read 2 Maccabees 6 and let's read 12 through 16.
2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for the destruction.
For our destruction, not to be for destruction. Go ahead.
But for a chastening of our nation.
What's another way? What did Peter just call it? What did he just say it was? Is judgment. Come on, brothers, follow along. The precepts ain't hard. Go ahead, read on.
For it is a token of his great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. Mm-hmm. For not
now,
as
this is why. Now you might be like, well, it says token of his. It says great goodness, and then it's got wicked doers punished. Well, hell, what was going on during the Greek captivity, brothers? Who was the wicked doers during the Greek captivity? Let's see who's thinking. Let's see. Who was the wicked doers during the Greek captivity? That is not a hard question, brother. Who was it? Stand up.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Israelites.
It was us. We was the wicked doers. Antiochus Epiphanes would have never came if God didn't pass what on us, brothers? What's the word Peter just used? Judgment. Nebuchadnezzar would have never showed up if God didn't pass what on us, brothers? There you go. A lot of times we keep wanting to blame the nations for your wickedness. It's your ass doing the wickedness. That's why they own you. That's why you get no press, because you doing the wickedness. But you always want to point the finger. Start taking some responsibility for your wickedness. And that's where we have it done. Now, look, I'll prove it. Go to Leviticus. I'm going to show you that. This is the reason why you are still in captivity to this day. Leviticus chapter 26, and I want to read verse 40 and 41.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 40.
Read down to 42.
if they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass which they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity.
Hold on. Israel has to do what? Read that part again.
And they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity.
That's why you still in captivity. You ain't accepted of the punishment of your captivity. You keep blaming everybody else for your wickedness. God said you got to accept your iniquity that you done to me. Read verse 42.
Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob.
There you go. That's the end of the Bible. Close it up. That's why you still here. You ain't accepted of it. That's why when I ask y'all who's doing wickedness, you think of everybody else but you. You ain't accepted it yet. You ain't accepted it. You think you righteous. All right, go back to Second Maccabees 6. Let's read 2 Maccabees chapter 6, and let's read verse 13 again. Now we understand who the wicked is that's getting punished. Read that.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 13. For it is a token of his great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished.
So why, just before we read on, why is it good? It says it's good and it's being punished at the same time. That's his great goodness. Let's see, who can put the dots together? Why is it his great goodness that he's punishing the wicked doers? Officer Paggia. Why?
Because who the Lord loveth, he chastised.
There you go. That's it. Anybody in here ever read Hebrews chapter 12 by show of hands? Hebrews chapter 12? Hebrews chapter 12. Okay. If you haven't read Hebrews chapter 12, read Hebrews chapter 12. Who in here got kids by show of hands? Raise your hand. Raise your hands. Okay. You whoop your kids because you hate them, right? Anybody in here whoop their kids because they hate them by show of hands? You whoop your kids because you do what to them, brothers? Boom. There you go. That's God's great goodness. He's whooping you right now because he loves you. Now read verse 14.
For not as with other nations.
I only heard a few people say that too. So half y'all don't even discipline y'all kids. Lord, no wonder these kids is monsters nowadays. Woo. The times have changed. I'm going to tell you that right now. If this was the early 90s and the 80s and I said, you do what to your kids? Oh, we beat they out. Everybody would yell that out. But you get slack, and now the kids have turned to monsters. You don't do what God says. Your kids are monsters. They can't wait till they turn 18 so they can leave. Okay, it's another story. Go verse 14. Read that.
For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbear to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us.
So that's what it said. Peter said the judgment of God first begins with us. That's why we getting jacked up right now. Go ahead.
Lest that being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us. And therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us. And though he punish with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people.
Now it takes a righteous man to look out at the atrocities of his people like God is merciful to us. That takes a spiritual man to look and see things in that different light and not be like, see, they hate us. See what they doing to us. They are wicked. He looked at it and said, God is merciful to us. That takes a spiritual man to see things that way, a spiritual woman, and not blame everything else on everybody else out there in the world. And the reason why he's doing that, said, what happens when you let something build up and then you punish somebody? What happens? Because anybody with some kids in here, tell me what happens when you turn a blind eye to stuff and then you let it build up. Okay, Officer Daniel. Okay, he's the only one disciplining his kids. All praises. At least we got one Israelite here. What happens?
A lot of times when you let things go like that, that pressure, that frustration, that anger, it builds up inside you. So then when you go to actually correct them, you go overboard.
Oh, you go overboard. So that's a part of God's great mercy. That he's doing it now, so when he steps on the scene to dwell with man, like we read in Revelation 21, he don't destroy everybody off the face of the earth. That's him showing mercy to you, that when he step on the scene, he don't have to kill you because you already been getting jacked up for hundreds of years, thousands of years. He been punishing you. So the mercy is, okay, now it's time for you to get the kingdom that I promised. You've been catching hell ever since. Now it's time for these nations who've been, go to Second Esdras. Let me show you how the nation's been getting down. All right, Second Esdras chapter 3, and let's read verse 30 through 36.
Second Ezra chapter 3 and verse 30. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared wicked doers, and hast destroyed thy people.
And you have suffered wicked doers, and you destroy your people. Read on.
And hast preserved thy enemies, and hast not signified it. I do not remember how this way may be left.
Esdras was even confused, just like you are today. Esdras like, what's going on? If we be God's people, why are we oppressed? Read on.
Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion?
And that's why some people see white man as God. No way God would be letting them do this if they wasn't his people. He must love everybody because he don't do nothing to them. You missed the point that God is chastening you and judging you now. Read on.
Or is there any other people that know of thee beside Israel? Or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob? And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth and think not upon thy commandments.
Because they ain't being judged. The other nations ain't worried about God. They don't care nothing about him. They got their own Buddha. They got their own rock to worship. They got their own God with 8 arms. Not worried about you at all. They doing straight evil, but they flow in wealth. I don't understand how this should be, Lord. What's going on? Read on.
Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there is also that dwell in the world, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people have so kept thy commandments?
So Esdras is telling you these other nations been sinners from the jump. Go ahead.
Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen.
Now jump over to chapter 4 and let's read verse 21. Let's see God's answer to Ezra's question. Like, how is this going down like this? Why are we getting judged and not them? Read that.
Second Ezra 4 and 21. For like as the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea to its floods, even so they that dwell upon the earth may understand nothing but that which is upon the
He
earth.
can't understand the reasons of God. He gave us a few of his thoughts in a book. He gave us a few of his thoughts because his thoughts is infinite. His wisdom is infinite. He gave us a few of it just to be able to get ourselves right. Do this. Don't worry about nothing else. Read on.
And he that dwelleth above in the heavens may only understand the things that are above the height of the heavens.
Only understand those things which are above the heaven. Okay, now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20. Right, so judgment has been started at the house of God long time ago, and we going through it right now. And there's nothing new up under the sun. Judgment will come once again. The final judgment will come once again. Ezekiel chapter 20, let's read 32.
Ezekiel chapter 20 verse 32. And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries to serve wood and stone.
So what is God saying? As much as you want to be African American, as much as you want to be Jamaican, Haitian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, as much as you want to be that, as much as you want to be like Esau, as much as you want to be Asian in your mind, as much as you want to enjoy the comforts of this world. Read verse 32.
As I live, saith the Lord God.
No, read verse 32 again.
Excuse me. And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all that ye say. We will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone.
It's not going down. It is not. You can try your best to assimilate and do whatever. It is not going down, God says. And here's the proof. Read on.
As I live,
on my life,
saith the Lord God.
That's how you know he's black. On my life, that ain't gonna happen. Read on.
Surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
He's gonna do what?
Surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
Will I rule over you? Read on.
And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with the mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
We going back where?
In the wilderness of the people.
The wilderness is coming. God said, because you know how you know it's coming. You might not believe these words in the Bible. You know, you got your own doctrine, whatever you want to think in your mind. You know, you might be Pentecostal, whatever you want to think in your mind. Read verse 33 again.
As I live, saith the Lord God.
On my life. Read verse 35.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
On God's life. He swear on his life. And can't nobody take God's life. You can't take his life. But he said, on my life, I swear to you, you going back to the wilderness. Read it again, verse 35.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. And there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith the Lord God.
What was God's first thought in the wilderness when we did something wrong? It was what, brothers? Death. Kill him. So, you know, that pleading, I just want to throw that out there. Please, will you all keep the commandments? I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to have to send y'all into captivity and raise up Esau again. How about you agree to keep the commandments, and I agree to give you everything in eternal life, and let us get along. How about it? Let's sign the contract. That's not the pleading that God's doing. His pleading, they do wrong, death. That's his pleading. Read it again. Verse 36.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord God. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
That rod is the commandments. I will cause you to pass under the rod. You are going to live this way, or I will destroy you forever. Read on.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
He's going to do what?
And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
The rebels. Listen, hey, look up that definition of rebels. Yeah, I like that. That's the root word of it. But let's get the definition. Oh, that's not rebels. That's rebel. Okay, rebel. Let's see what that says. Let's see. Zoom in on it so everybody can see it. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in.
Rebel. A person who rises in opposition or armed resistance against an established government or ruler.
I'm going to give y'all some time to write that down. Y'all can write that down. Definition, rebel is a person who rises in opposition or armed resistance against an established government or ruler. Those my enemies, bring them hither that I may slay them. Christ called you his enemies when you want to rebel. Go back, pull it back up there. Oh man, look at the similar definition says revolt, mutiny, riot, rise up in arms, take up arms. Goodness gracious. Stage or mount a rebellion. Y'all want to come with me? Come with me. Everybody come with me. Who's coming with? What was that on Jerry? What was that on? Jerry Maguire said it. What is that? What it was? Yeah, the movie Jerry Maguire when he got fired. Who's coming with me? Who's coming? He had the fish. I'll go. The one dummy. Be insubordinate, right? Do we got any synonyms on that?
Let's see.
Zoom out some. Yeah, let's go to Merriam's. Let's see. Oh, zoom in. Oh, they got an adjective, noun, and a verb, right? Let's see all of those. Let's see. Go. Adjective is a description of something, right? Opposing or taking up arms against the government or a ruler, right? Okay. The noun, right? Noun. One who rebels or participates in a rebellion. You jump in with it. You got one leader and then you jump in with it. The rebellion. I'm with ya. Verb, the action of it, right? Rebelling. To oppose or disobey one in authority or control. To renounce and resist by force the authority of one's government. to act in or show opposition or disobedience, to feel or exhibit anger or revulsion. Esau get very descriptive with his words. Oh, synonyms. Let's go back. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. So we can see those. I didn't plan on going into rebel, but obviously we got to get this out. Dang, they got adjective, noun, and verb of rebellion. Sheesh. God knows what type of words to use when he want to get his point across. I will purge out the rebels. So if any of these adjectives, nouns, or verbs are in your spirit, you better get them out here before you go back to the wilderness. Bulky, contrary, contumacious, defiant, disobedient, forward, incompliant, insubordinate. What happens when you insubordinate at work, brothers? Sisters, what happened? You get fired. A lot of y'all stay subordinate to Esau. God, don't do this stuff. Intractable. Obstreperous. There we go. Obstreperous. Rebellious. Recalcitrant. Recusant. Refractory. Oh, I'm going to get... ungovernable. The bottom row. The last one. That's the best one. Ungovernable. You just can't. You just don't want nobody telling you what to do. You know what they call that in the world? Free spirits. Oh, I'm a free spirit. I'm a Gemini. I'm a free spirit. You can't tell me what to do. I live my life how I want to. Ungovernable. Unruly. Untoward. Wayward. Willful. I ain't even go through the rest of them. We'll be there all day on those. So let's read verse 37, 38 again.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 37. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of
Hold on, take that picture off. What's going on? You will be governable, is what God's saying. I will cause you to pass under the rod. You will be governable. Go ahead.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
The rebellious, the ungovernable, the whatever them definitions, the adjectives, the nouns, and the verbs of rebel, you going to be purged out. Read on.
And them that transgress against me.
Go ahead.
And I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Read verse 33 once again.
As I live, saith the Lord God.
All on his life, everything we just read is going down. Everything is going down on his life. Now, go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Let's see some of these attributes of the rebels. 1 Corinthians 10. Let's read 1 through 4.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1.
Let's see what our ancestors were doing in the wilderness. This is tying into tabernacles, because a lot of our people, going to the wilderness. We going out to camping. Got a tent. Campfire. Yay. You missed the whole part of what it's for. 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 4.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I will not that you should be ignorant.
Brethren, because the Corinthians are Israelites. Go ahead.
I will not that you should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ.
Read verse 5.
But with many of them,
God
was not well pleased.
He was what?
God was not well pleased. For they were overthrown in the wilderness.
They was overthrown where?
In the wilderness.
Overthrown in the wilderness because God was not pleased. Right? Let's get some examples. Exodus 16. Well, Exodus 14. Let's go there first. You got to read quick because I got a lot of scripts. I ain't got that much time. Exodus chapter 14. Let's read 8 through 14.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 8.
Remember, it said God was not well pleased. Let's read that, what he wasn't well pleased in. Read that.
And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with an high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh. and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pi-hahiroth,
Pi-hahiroth.
before Baal-Zephon.
Baal-Zephon. That's two words put together. Go ahead.
And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were so afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord, and they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is it not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians?
That we may what?
That we may serve the Egyptians.
Go ahead.
For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in this wilderness.
So can anybody say, okay, let's see. I'm going to try to paint the picture for you. You got to answer the question. I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. All right. So what just happened in chapters Exodus 1 through 13 that God did to the Egyptians for Israel? What? Just give me a summary of it. What happened in the first 13 chapters of the book of Exodus? Let's see. I got one brother. Can I get two? I got two. Can I get three? Can I get three? Can I get four? I got three. I got two. I got 2.5. I got 3.5. Get 3.5. Okay. Let's see what Aryeh got. 3.5. Sold to brother Aryeh. What happened?
Slow.
What did God do?
So God delivered the Israelites from the Egyptians.
Right.
The plagues came.
Okay.
Destroyed Egypt.
Okay, so the plagues, he destroyed Egypt. What was those plagues meant to show the Israelites? What were those plagues meant to show Israel? We go over this. How many Passovers you been through so far?
One.
Okay, give me somebody. Who else? Who's been through some multiple plagues? Okay, bring it up front. What was those plagues meant to show the children of Israel? You're right. Now, you was part right. Let's see if also Pagiel can tie it together. What was those plagues meant to show?
That the gods of Egypt are nothing.
There you go. That's what the plagues were for. Because all of the frogs, the water turning to blood, those are all different gods in Egypt. And the Lord judged all of them, all the Egyptians, but he did those plagues to show Israel that these gods ain't nothing. They not real. I'm the one true God. It's only me. And then we get to this part where they just got delivered. They walked through a sea. They walked through a sea. Ain't no small sea. And then they get to verse 12. Why didn't you leave us in Egypt? Why didn't you leave us to serve them? Same thing Negroes do today. They hate to hear this truth because you separate from your master, that you the only one you've known. So what is this showing in verse 12 that they had? What is that in verse 12? He did all of that, and then they get on the other side, great cross through the sea, and then they saying, why didn't you leave us? What does that show? Brother Paul. What does that show?
Ungrateful and rebellious.
Okay, that's one phrase of it, but it's another word I'm looking for. Brother, right there. What's your name again, brother?
Brother Michael.
Michael, that's what I thought it was.
They had Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome, okay. I'll take that. But it's we use it in the Bible a lot. Anybody else? Okay, it's okay. Michael. The other Michael. Let's see what you got.
Brother Michael, reprobate.
Okay. Last one. Officer Daniel, I ain't got much time. What was it? What was they showing? He did all of that for them. They get here and say, why didn't you just leave us? They seen the Egyptians coming.
What it was showing?
Yeah, what was they showing? What was Israel showing right here?
Well, they lacked faith.
They lacked faith. There you go. Good guess. They lacked faith. We just read in 1 Corinthians 10, it says that in the wilderness, it says God was not with what? When he was happy or what, brothers? What did it say? Not pleased. That's why we're going to all of this, y'all. It said he overthrew them in the wilderness because he was not pleased with them. One way he wasn't pleased, a lack of faith. Read verse 13 and 14.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
Read verse 15. Look how God responds to this. Read that.
And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? speak unto the children of Israel that they go
He
forward.
said, what you talking to me for? Just tell him go. That's how God responds. Why you crying to me? Just go forward. Because the lack of faith, he's already mad. Just tell him to go, Moses. Why are you crying to me?
Right. When you read verse 13, it says, and Moses said unto the people, fear ye not.
Yep.
They were scared, y'all.
Scared.
They had no vision. They saw the destruction of their slave masters. Where we going now? Where we going now?
Who else gonna take care of
Right.
us? That's a lack of faith in the Most High. Jump over to Exodus 16. Let's read 1 through 3.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 1. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin.
They came to the where?
The wilderness of Sin,
Okay, back in the wilderness. Go ahead.
which is between Elim and Sinai. And on the 15th day of the second month, after the departing out of the land of Egypt, and the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured.
They did what?
Murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness.
Hold on. They murmured against who?
Moses and Aaron in the wilderness.
What was Moses and Aaron to the Israelites in the wilderness? Just say it, brothers. What was they? They was what? Leaders. Israel murmured against them, Moses and Aaron, in the wilderness. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel said unto them, would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt.
There we go. Back to Egypt again. Lord, I wish I'd have just died. Just let me die here in America. That's a lot of our people's thoughts. You ain't worried about the kingdom to come. You just want to die here in America with your little 9-to-5 job. Go ahead.
When we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full.
And look what it always go back to. All goes back to what, brothers? It's glutton. Just what's that? You live to eat instead of eat to live. Send me anywhere where they got good food, Lord. I'll stay here.
Man, that's heavy, Cap. Now you see why America push these fast food restaurants. You'll see 3 or 4 Popeyes chickens down the block from each other. McDonald's. You'll leave one block, see the next block, another McDonald's.
Yep.
Man.
Especially going into us, it ain't no Whole Foods in our neighborhoods. When that comes in, you know Negroes is going out.
You know what's crazy too? You know when we travel, we go to these other cities. We always tell them, man, what's one of your best restaurants over here? What's one of your best restaurants? What y'all known for? Damn,
It'd be fried chicken.
fried chicken.
Says when we sat by the flesh pots and when we did eat bread to the full. Read on.
For ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger.
That's all we worried about is food from the jump, man. Read verse 8.
And Moses said, this shall be when the Lord shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for that the Lord heareth your murmurings, which ye murmur against him.
Against who?
Against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Lord.
Moses had to say, hey, look, God set us up as lead, but you not murmuring against us. You might can see us face to face, but it all goes back to God. You disgruntled, whatever one you murmuring, talk about us. Yeah, you really talking about God. And he hears you. Read on.
And Moses spake unto Aaron, say unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, come near before the Lord, for he have heard your murmuring.
He heard your murmurings. Okay. Let's see. Is that what I want to stop on that? Okay. Now let's go to Numbers chapter 11. Remember, it said God was not well, what, brothers? So he did what? He overthrew them in the wilderness. Numbers chapter 11. Let's read 1 through 3.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. And when the people complained.
Hold on. They did what?
And when the people complained. It displeased the Lord.
What's another word for complain that we just read, brothers? Murmuring. Right? That complaining equals murmuring. Murmuring equals complaining. Read it again so they know how God feels about it. Read verse 1 again.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord.
It made Moses mad.
It displeased the Lord.
The Lord. Read on.
And the Lord heard it.
He did what?
And the Lord heard it.
Every idle word. He heard it. He's listening. Your angel reports. Send. It goes right up. report receiving. Let's see what my sons and daughters is down there doing. The one I woke up today and gave breath in their body, sight in their eyes, blood through their veins. Got a roof over their head, food in the fridge, got a car with gas in it, a school to go to, a husband that's trying, a wife that's trying to see. What's the report on them today? Oh, Lord. Goodness gracious, son, look at this. They down there complaining and murmuring like they did in the wilderness again. With that being said, it says the Lord heard it. Read on, and he did what?
And his anger was kindled.
Damn it. All that I do for them. And they still the same way that they was in the wilderness. Oh, son, I'm telling you, lucky you went down there, because if it wasn't for you, I'd have been done killed them all. I'd have wiped them out and started with Moses. It says, and the Lord heard it, and the anger was kindled. Read on.
And the fire of the Lord burnt among them.
You better thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. He ain't sending fire down no more. Hey, where's that video that I posted? Let's show you. It's the best thing that I can get close to when it comes to the fire from heaven. That's the closest I can get to it, to explain, to give you a picture of it. It was in the links. Okay, I'm sending it to the Sabbath group right about now. Boom, there you go. All right, pull it up. It's the closest I can get to the fire of the Lord to make the Bible real to you, so you can understand what happened. Pull it up for them. Pull it up for the people. You heard it. Play it again. That's fire from heaven. Play it again. Goodness.
Hey, listen, ain't no dodging this right here.
Nah.
You can't dodge it. You might see a meteor. You probably, get in your car, and want to dodge it. But this right here, when the Most High sent down fire, it was that fast.
Goodness gracious. Play it again. Goodness gracious. All right, that's enough. Now you understand when it says the thunder of his voice. That's how he speak right there. Read verse 1 again.
Numbers chapter 11 verse 1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord. And the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled. And the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp.
Jump down to verse 4.
And the
read on down. Read through quick. Go ahead.
And the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched.
Hold on, they was just complaining against Moses and them just a minute ago, right? But when they needed Moses, Lord, Moses, help us. But you was just complaining about him. Why you take us out of our captivity? Why you try to change us? Now when the judgment of the Lord come, can you pray for me, Moses? Because I know he dealing with you. Verse 3.
And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. And a mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and
you let the
said,
nations influence you. Go ahead.
who shall give us flesh to eat?
There we go again. Stomach start to growl and start to complaining. Go ahead.
We remember the
We what?
fish.
Read it again.
We remember.
We what?
We remember.
Some of us don't want to let go of our old ways. You keep remembering your old ways. You won't let them go. We remember. Go ahead.
We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic.
Now, did they eat those freely? Did they really eat the garlics and the leeks and the melons freely while they was in Egypt? What did they have to serve? Had to serve what? Make it easy. Slavery. They had to serve slavery to get all of that stuff. Some of us, our people today, you tricked your mind into thinking the good things you got in this captivity came freely. No, it's because you serve your oppressor through hard bondage. That's why you got it. Remember, it said the Lord was not well pleased with them, so he overthrew them. Try to get you to understand tabernacles is more than just let's go camping and stay up all night and talk by the bonfire. It's more than that. Pray you don't have that same spirit. You forget you in captivity because you eating good. You in captivity. Stop doing what the white man tell you to do. Stand up like Colin Kaepernick did for your people and see what they do to you. Reverse. That's all I want on that. Verse 5. Okay, let's go to number 16. Am I at number 16? Yeah, let's go to number 16. Oh, I got numbers 14. Dang. I got a lot. Numbers 14, 1 through 12. Quick.
Numbers chapter 14, verse 1. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron.
There they go again. Go ahead.
And the whole congregation said unto them,
It was the whole congregation. Go ahead.
What God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or what God we had died in this wilderness?
Go ahead.
And wherefore have the Lord brought us unto this land, to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt?
Not willing to let go of oppression. What? Let us go back to Egypt. Let us conform with the ways of the world. Go ahead.
And they said one to another, Let us make a captain and let us return into Egypt.
Let us find somebody that agrees with us and get behind him, and we'll follow him on the other side of the computer because he wants to go back to Egypt. Okay, jump up to verse 11. Jump down to verse 9 through 11.
Verse 9. Only rebel not ye against the Lord.
Do what?
Only rebel not ye against the Lord. Neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their offense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us, fear them not. But all the congregation stoned them with stones. And the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel.
Now look how God responds. He done had enough. Read on.
And the Lord said unto Moses, How long will this people provoke me?
How long will it be before, how long will they keep provoking me to anger? Go ahead.
And how long will it be ere they believe me?
How long will it be before they believe me? Go ahead.
For all the signs which I have showed among them.
And what was those signs? He just destroyed the whole nation of Egypt. He judged all of their gods, all of them signs. He split the Red Sea. He opened up the water for them. He gave them angels bread from heaven, and they still wanted to go back to slavery. Goodness gracious. Let's see. Jump over to verse. I'm gonna skip that. Go to 16. Let's read 1 through 3.
Numbers chapter 16, verse 1. Now Korah, the son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the sons of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord.
So did Moses and Aaron lift themselves up? Did they? Somebody tell me about Moses. Give me some description about Moses when he called him. What was Moses going through with the Lord? What was it? Who was it? Who's read when he was called on the other side? Okay. Purple shirts, please. Somebody help. What was going on with Moses when God called him? What was going on with him?
Moses was saying that he's not ready to go speak to the people.
Moses didn't want to go back to them. He said, Lord, send Aaron. Send somebody else. I'm not eloquent. Don't send me. Please send somebody else. So Moses and Aaron didn't lift themselves up. Give me Psalm 75 and 6. I believe it is.
Psalms chapter 75 and verse 6. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another.
So it was God that lifted up Moses and Aaron above the people. It wasn't them themselves. They were like, Lord, pick me, send me to rule over the most rebellious people on the face of the earth. I'm ready for that task. That was God doing that. He seen something in Moses. He seen something in Aaron that was fit for the people, right? Jump up to Numbers 16 and let's read verse 8 through 11.
Numbers 16, verse 8. And Moses said unto Korah, Hear I pray you, ye sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel hath separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them. And he hath brought thee near to him, and all the brethren the sons of Levi with thee, and seek ye the priesthood also?
Go ahead.
For which cause both thou and all thy company are gathered together against the
It
Lord.
was gathered together against who?
Against the Lord.
Don't have that spirit as you rehearsing that you think you are gathered against leadership. Leadership is evil. You really are against the Lord. None of us up here, Bishop Nathaniel, Deacon Yawasop, Bishop Kadai, they didn't, Lord, put me up in front of, no, God seen fit for them to be promoted to rule over the nation of Israel. So when you rebel against them, you really rebelling against the Lord. Read verse 11 again.
For which cause both thou and all thy company are gathered together against the Lord.
Against the Lord. Go ahead.
And what is Aaron that ye murmur against him?
Now Moses had a breakout. Look at this. God really Aaron's just a sidekick to me. I'm the one that got the staff and holding it right here and the wind blowing and dipping it in the water that it turned the blood and throwing it on the ground that it's a snake. I was really called. Aaron's just my sidekick. What is he? Why you going to him? Read on, verse 12. I'm going to show you this.
And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, We will not come up.
We ain't trying to hear nothing y'all got to say. Whatever. That's man's words. We ain't rebel against God. We rebel against y'all. Go ahead.
Is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land that floweth with milk and honey, to kill us in this wilderness? Except thou make thyself altogether a prince over us?
Now check this. It just hit me this morning as I'm going over this class, because I done taught this a few different times, right? But I never brought this out. It says, is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land that flowed with milk and honey? Where did God just bring them up out of? Where did he bring them up out of, brothers? A lot of brothers and sisters in the truth think your island or America is the land of milk and honey. That's why you don't want change. You don't want to fall in line to leave because you think this is the land of milk and honey secretly already. This ain't nothing but a feel-good song to you. You show up every Sabbath day because it's better than Christianity, but you don't truly believe what's in the book. You secretly holding on to it. Our ancestors thought oppression in the land of their captivity was the land of milk and honey. Ain't that what it said? Read it again, verse 13.
Is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land that floweth with milk and honey, to kill us in this wilderness?
Your ancestors why you take us from there? We was living good. I know we had to carry 3-ton boulders and build pyramids in the Valley of the Kings and Pithom and Ramsey. I know we did all of that, but it was still okay with me. That was the land of milk and honey to me. I don't care about my people getting oppressed. I don't care if Moses did see some Egyptian beating down my brother. I ain't worried about them. I ain't worried about them niggas. I'm worried about myself. It said in Corinthians, God was not well pleased with them. Some of your mindset better change, because the wilderness is coming. And God forbid you get over there and start complaining like your ancestors did. Instant death. Because it said, I will purge out the what, brothers? There you go. We reading about the rebels that got purged out. Read verse 14.
Moreover, thou hast not brought us unto a land that floweth with milk and honey, or givest us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up.
You ain't brought nothing you promised to us. See, you said you was going to take us there, and it was supposed to be instant gratification. What's taking so long for us to get the land of milk and honey that you said you was going to give us? We want instant gratification. I ain't trying to wait around and endure to the end. Where is it at? We supposed to walk out and then jump right into the kingdom of heaven. Just talking about we got to endure and walk around 40 years. You a liar. All right. Check your spirits. Go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We almost finished. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. And I want to start at verse 5 again.
First
With all
Corinthians,
those examples. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. But with many of them, God was not well pleased.
They lacked faith. They was envious. They murmured. They complained. They overthrow leadership. They trusted in oppression. They refused to let go and be born again. They still wanted to remember where they came from. Read on.
For they were overthrown in the wilderness.
And for that, they was overthrown in the wilderness. Once again, how many people from that first generation went into the kingdom? That the ones that knew what was going on. How many people went in, brothers? How many was it? Two of them. How many women was it that went in? How many? Zero. But y'all know that. It's not no 50-50 in the Bible. No, it's not there is no feminist movement in the Bible. There is no equality. No, none of that. No, it's not no National Women's Day in the Bible. No, not at all. None. You see what he did to Miriam for the little stuff she was saying. God said, if your father but spit in her face, she knows some respect around here. Sisters, better hold yourself to a higher degree. You ain't gonna get away with it. It says, but with many of them, God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown, put to death in the wilderness. To make it easy to understand. Now read verse 6.
Now these things were our examples.
They are what?
Our examples.
Read on.
To the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lust.
Read on.
Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed, and fell in one day 23,000. Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed of serpents. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured, and were destroyed of the destroyer.
Read on.
Now all these things happen unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition.
They are written for our warning, because we are going back to the wilderness again, where he's going to plead with us. So he's warning you now through the mouth of the prophets. When it happens again, if you do it one time, I ain't bringing you back no more. There ain't going to be no regeneration. Ain't going to be no cycles of the water and the cycles of the sun, which you know. It's it. When you get to that wilderness, if you endure now, this is Christ and the Most High, they go through a hell of a proving process. You know what it says, Sirach 6 and 7, prove a friend first. First, here in the land of your captivity, you got to remember who you are, repent, keep the commandments, and endure to the end, just to get to the wilderness to prove yourself again, to get into the kingdom. That's a hell of a proving process right there. Hell of a proving process. Way, way above what brothers and sisters do today. Read verse 11.
Now all these things happen unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition.
Warning. Go ahead.
Upon whom the ends of the world are come.
Read.
Wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall.
What's another way of saying that? Where else does he say it? How else does he say that again? In the book of Corinthians. He said, him that thinketh he standeth, take heed lest he fall. How else does he say that? Officer Daniel. He says it somewhere else too. And we read it all the time.
Examine yourself.
Examine yourself. You better examine yourself, brothers and sisters. Tabernacles in the wilderness ain't just to go light some daggone kosher marshmallows around the campfire and stay up all night and laugh and joke. It's deeper than that. You better check your spirit. You rehearsing it right now, so when you do it once again, you ain't unfamiliar to it. Now read verse 13.
There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it.
Sum it up, there is no excuses. There ain't no excuses. There ain't no excuse that you're going to give God to make him think different when that time comes of whether you should be in the wilderness to even have the second chance to prove yourself. There ain't no excuse. There is no temptation. There have no temptation taking you but such as common to man. Brothers getting your house in order, that ain't nothing new. Ain't no excuse. Sisters being subject unto your husband, that ain't nothing new. Nah, that ain't no excuse. You go, Lord, he was mean and angry to. No. Abigail had a Negro for a husband too.
Right on.
No excuses.
No excuse.
No, not at all. Well, she was Jezebel in the spirit. Whatever, Negro. You saw that I killed her.
There you go.
You saw what I did.
Yep.
Good.
Because when you read when you read earlier, it says, neither let commit fornication. So even dealing with that, he preparing you. He's preparing us. So it's nothing new. When we read that in verse 13, it's letting you know, listen, I'm already preparing you. That's why I even gave you the flashback in Exodus and Numbers of the rebellious Israelites. So now when it comes, as we approach the latter days, you need to be preparing yourself, examining yourself.
Yep. And that's why you wonder why is the Bible filled with so much bad that we done as a people? Because he don't want you to repeat it again. That's why it ain't a bunch of feel-good stories all in the Bible. 90% of it is what we did wrong, because when he shows up again, you better not do it again. There ain't no rocket science to it. Deuteronomy 16:16. So he gave you a way to escape. He left you a book for all ages. And then he put the spirit back in the earth of his teachers to teach you the right way to go. So it won't be no excuses. You can't say, well, I didn't know. I didn't read that scripture. Didn't you have the book of the Lord? Did you seek out of it to read? I was getting around to it, but I was busy with work and kids. Woo! I dare you use that one on God. Deuteronomy 16:16.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 and the 16th verse.
A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm busy. I don't have time to study. Oh, I got all these kids. I don't have time to study." That ain't no excuse. God got 7 billion people on the earth that he got to take care of. Israelites and the other nations. They eat every single day. They wake up every single day. So just you with 3 kids, 4 kids, and a job is not an excuse compared to what God got to do on a daily basis. He wakes everybody. He got to decide who's going to die today. Every day. It's time for them to go, you know what, send a tsunami here, make an earthquake over there, and then make it come back around and hit Puerto Rico again. And then I want the sun to keep on going around where it is. Keep going. I want it to be hot this day. I want him to wake up. I want her to wake up. I want them to wake up. And even down to the nitty gritty, I want that bird to land on the ground right there. I want that cricket to come out at this time. I want it to be hot one day, hot one in the same day, and then I want it to rain in the same day, and then I want it to hail in the same day too. Make that happen for me, and I want all of this done before the sun come up. That's what God do on a daily basis. There's nothing on the earth that goes down without his word. So for us to make excuses of my job and kids and time, that ain't gonna work on Judgment Day, I'm telling you. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God, in a place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread.
What's another name for unleavened bread? Feast of unleavened bread. What's it called, brothers? It's called Passover, okay, for y'all that didn't know. Feast of unleavened bread is also Passover. Read on.
And in the feast of weeks.
What's another name for feast of weeks, brothers? Pentecost. Y'all didn't know that. It's called Pentecost. Read on.
And in the feast of tabernacles.
Another name for tabernacles is also called the Feast of Booths. Okay, so 3 times in a year. So in that rehearsing that God wants us to do, tabernacles is so important. He said, make sure that these 3 right here, throw tabernacles in there for them to remember. because it's a lot more than just getting up in the booths and all of that. It's a lot more that goes into that. Read on, finish it out.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
Don't be a Hoover, that's what they call that. Just won't come up and eat up all the food. Leviticus 23:33. You know, they gonna bring drinks. Somebody else will bring the drink. Oh, they gonna bring plenty of food. Don't worry about it. We ain't gotta bring none. Let's just show up. Let's bless them with our presence. No, you better bring something to their feast days. Leviticus 23 verse 33 on down.
Leviticus chapter 23 verse 33.
We almost done here.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be a holy convocation.
So that's why we're here. Sundown is going to begin the first day of tabernacles for us, right? Read on.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
God don't want you working on that Sabbath day. It's a Sabbath day. Go ahead.
7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And on the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you.
So we don't sacrifice by fire no more. That was taken out of the way due to the Levitical law or the law of sacrifice being changed. But still, on that 8th day, you come together. So the first day and the 8th day are convocation, holy convocation, Sabbath days. So you can, what this is saying too, 7 days you shall offer an offering by fire unto the Lord. That let you know that you can cook in between that first day being a holy day and the last day. So you can cook during the week. All right. Read on.
And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly.
Serious assembly. It's serious to the Lord. Go ahead.
And ye shall do no servile work therein.
Read on.
These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. A burnt offering, a meat offering, a sacrifice, a drink offerings, and everything upon his day. Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings which ye give unto the Lord. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast of the Lord 7 days. On the first day should be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Read on.
And you shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, branches of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
Real quick, type in Indian teepees. Indian teepee. So now you can understand what your brothers was doing here in America before we showed up. It wasn't just for kicks and giggles. They was actually rehearsing the righteous acts that they had brought with them from coming over on the ships way back in 722 something BC. Oh, it's 5 something they came over here. Yeah, because that's when they got freed. 539 something BC is when they began to come over. Click on one of the pictures. Click on the second one. So this is what Gad was doing out in what they considered the wilderness at the time to rehearse the righteous acts. That's why you see them with the sticks. Read verse 40 again. That's how you know Gad, the so-called native Indians, are truly the Israelites. That just don't pop up out of nowhere. You just don't like, hey, you know what? Let's put some sticks together. No, that came from somewhere. Read verse 40 again.
Leviticus chapter 23 verse 40.
Go through the other pictures too. Go ahead.
And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees and willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
All right, read on.
And you shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It should be a statute for you, a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month.
Read on, verse 42.
Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days.
Now, look, that's a good one. I like that one. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. Another word for booth, tent. TP. 7 days, right? You can take it down. Verse 42 again.
Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days.
So at sundown tonight, you should be sleeping up under something that rehearses a booth. Well, you got plenty of ways to do it. Throw a sheet over it and make it over the top, paint it on the walls, whatever. Sleep under the table. You know, I was in an apartment. When I first did mine, I was in an apartment and the place was too small to have a tent. We was up under the kitchen table. We turned the kitchen table into a tent. Yep. Slept good too. I ain't gonna lie. Slept good on the floor. Helped my back out. But you can turn your kitchen table into a tent. Just throw the cover over top of it and pin it up, whatever have you do, and it's whatever to rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. Cause does God look on the outside or the inside, brothers? Where's he look at? Inside. Right. The Lord's looking at the intent of the mind. I'm doing whatever, just like brothers do with the first come in with the poor man fringes. I had no money to get these nice, beautiful bullion fringes. I didn't know Joann's existed. So you know what? I was cutting up the bottom of my shirt and ironing on the ribbon of blue with some stitch witchery. It was the intent. I was doing whatever I could to keep the commandments. Y'all didn't know Captain Zakai used to get down like that, did y'all? Yeah. He used to get down like that, whatever we could to keep the commandments. Verse 42, again.
Verse 42. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths. When I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I am the Lord your God.
Read on.
And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord.
So it says that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths. And we read just a little bit of how our spirit was dwelling in those booths in the wilderness. It wasn't right. Therefore, God said, you know what? Because of their unbelief, they didn't believe me when I sent them to spy out the land. For every day they went, they're going to stay in the wilderness till they all die off. 40 years they're going to walk around, and that's the judgment. And only 2 of y'all going in, Joshua and Caleb. Now go to Zechariah 14, 16 through 19 to show you why it says every Israelite shall dwell in booths throughout your generations. Rehearse it, rehearse it, rehearse it. Go over them scriptures. Warn them of how it's going to be when I come, because I'm going to dwell with man, but I'm not dwelling with them wicked, rebellious Israelite Negroes that was in the wilderness. Not going down like that again. God going to have some peace of mind. He ain't got no peace right now dealing with us as a nation. Read that, verse 16 through 19.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 14 and verse 16. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem
after the destruction, go ahead,
shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
We're going to be keeping what?
The Feast of Tabernacles.
Even in the kingdom to come, you will be dwelling in booths. Read on.
And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, and the Lord of hosts.
And even at this one, he's going to make everybody dwell in booths. Every single spirit on the face of the earth going to be in a booth in a wilderness somewhere celebrating the tabernacle of God. Go ahead.
Even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not.
Now he's using Egypt as an example. Your oppressor, he going to even make them be in subjection to him. Go ahead.
That have no rain. There shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
To keep the Feast of Tabernacles. That's how important it is. That's why we got to rehearse it and make sure our spirit is right. Because we're going to be held at a higher standard than everybody else. Because the judgment first starts where, brothers? At the house of who? In the house of Israel, the house of God. It starts with us first. We held to a higher standard. So let's go to Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. Let's end it on this.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 2 and verse 1. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip.
Now what's another way of saying that? He said we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard. What's another way of saying that? We already had one example of it read. We named another. Officer Daniel named the second example of it. What's another way of saying it? It says, therefore we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard. It's 1, 2 words. Let's see. We'll take a stab at it. Brother Paul, take a stab at it. Therefore we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard. Let's see. Anytime we should let them slip.
Just be obedient to the things we've heard.
Okay. That's somewhere in the ballpark. Abel. But it's just 2 words.
Shalom leadership.
Shalom.
Practice the righteous acts.
Practice the righteous acts. That's 4. Bring it up here to Sirach. We already mentioned it already.
Be circumspect.
Yeah, but it's said, that's exactly right, but you got to say it in a different way. Let's see. Who else got it? Abel again. And then we give it to Michael. Realize in the back. Okay.
Examine.
Examine what? It's 2 words.
Yeah, examine yourself.
Examine yourselves. 2 words. That's the same thing. He's saying it again, just in a different way. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. Examine yourselves of what you heard today. Tabernacles is more than just camping and more than just time off of work. It's more than just staying up late nights. Tabernacles is actually the rehearsal for the king to come. Who's the king, brothers? Christ. That's it.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are the Israelites. That's right. Take care of us. Take care of us. And our children too. And our children too. We have repented. We have repented. How are you? How are you? People want to know who's the king.
O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father. O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father.
Now why they trying to make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sounds wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.